Hello, everyone. Welcome to the New American Dream Radio Show. I'm Chuck Gregory coming to you from the Fort Lauderdale area. We have a new American dream, not of new homes and toasters and microwaves, but of becoming the type of country we always thought we were. A country where people help each other, people talk to each other and listen to each other. Uh, we uh, we can't get anywhere if we can't communicate. It's so important, and so that's what this show is all about. We have a wonderful first guest, Karen Katoski. Uh, Normally, she is the last guest on this fourth Thursday of the month, but we've juggled things around a little this week to make room for the New American Dream Radio Theater, which is going to take up the entire second half of the show. But I'm very fortunate to have Karen here with me. Welcome to the show, Karen.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Yeah, so
All right.
I'll go ahead and get into what I wanted to talk about. And I think the approach that I'm going to take, obviously, I like talking about war and peace and all that, and other things, other problems. But I think the way I want to present it or think about it tonight is the good and the bad. So, in no particular order, um, I'm just going to launch into what's good and bad. So here we are at the 23rd of April. So the good thing is the ceasefire that they did between the U.S. and Iran, and also, of course, the corresponding ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Even though Israel has violated that ceasefire, those ceasefires are holding. And I think the one in Lebanon actually got extended for another 2 weeks. So that's good. The bad news is the Israelis have stated they are ready to bomb Iran back into the Stone Age, I think they said, and decapitate its regime once again. They're ready to do that. And the third carrier battle group, which one is it? It's the Bush, the George Bush, has arrived into the Arabian Ocean, or it's close. So by tomorrow or by late tonight, it'll be in position. So that means we have 3 carrier battle groups in addition to everything else, and we've been flowing in literally tens of thousands of troops and weapons and refueling aircraft and that kind of thing into the region, mostly on the Israel side, mostly on the Mediterranean side of the theater, because we can't really go closer. So that's the bad news. That's the good news. The good news is the ceasefire is holding. The bad news is it looks like all the people who can start wars around here, Israel and the United States, really want to start it again. They really want to.
Oh,
that's bad news. Well, but there's other good news. The good news is, a little bit of good news is the Iranians have managed the strait pretty well, both before and after the so-called blockade that Donald Trump has attempted to operate. And the good news is Iran is stable in their activity. They are exporting oil. They are selling oil in the rial, which is their currency. They're selling it in other people's currencies. They're not selling it on the dollar. They are tracking ships close to the 12-mile economic zone of their country. So Iranian ships and other ships can come in and they can hug the Iranian border without being impacted by the blockade. So I think that's a bit of good news. And the bad news is we're lying about all of it in Washington. In Washington, we're accusing the Iranians of doing all kinds of terrible things. And we're saying that our blockade is actually working. Good news, our blockade is not working. It can't work when you're too afraid to bring your ships in closer than 400 or 500 nautical miles to the Iranian shore. You cannot blockade an ocean that big with the number of ships and aircraft that we have available to us. It's just too big of an ocean. And so people are slipping through. But the good news is Trump seems to think that this blockade is important, which means he feels empowered, not so much to bomb, but he may feel more empowered to give something, to say, like, I'm a winner. Because with Trump, the good news is with Trump, he has to be a winner. And the other good news with Trump is he can lie his way into being a winner very easily, more easily than any other person that you've ever met in your entire life. So that is good news, because Trump can talk himself into war, talk himself into peace. And war. The peace part is what he needs. So the good news is we have maybe some stability in the Iranian strength, which they're not being aggressive with this, but with their strength, they are communicating to the U.S. and Israel, but particularly the U.S. and particularly the rest of the world, that if they are attacked, and I think they are talking not just a major conventional attack, but I think they're talking even a nuclear attack, because it's well known. I mean, Iran is up against two nuclear powers, one of which has experience in dropping bombs, and the other one is not trustworthy, and that the second one being Israel. And Israel has actually talked in their government about the use of nuclear weapons on Iran. And when you say you're going to destroy a civilization or bomb somebody back to the Stone Age, you are speaking of nuclear weapons. But the good news, Iran understands what they're up against, and they have been very strategic and open with their communications about the kind of damage that they can do to, fiber optic cables, communication cables, water desalination, a number of things that will really destroy the economic life and unfortunately other life in the region. And they're not doing it. But what they're making clear is that they can do it. And the good news is, I think Trump might be listening. And the reason I say that is Trump was on gave a news brief today after the Lebanese and the Israelis in Washington agreed to extend the ceasefire. I don't think the Israelis are going to honor it. They never do, but they did agree to extend it. And he had a little press conference, and they were asking him questions about this stuff. And he seemed either one of two things, either exhausted or very calm. And I'm not sure which it was. Maybe it was both. But his answers were not aggressive like they usually are. It was a lot of, well, it is what it is, like the New Yorkers say, it is what it is. And then he also said, they asked him, well, are you mad at China for giving Iran something or other that China might have given Iran? I'm not sure, sold it to him. I don't remember what the item was. I don't think they said. But are you mad at China? And Trump said something which I thought was very intelligent, and it's something that I think we would have said in a conversation. He said, we do the same thing. We give countries stuff. And he's talking about how we arm the Ukrainians against Russia. They were friends with Russia. We like to deal with Russia. But at the same time, so basically he said, well, when countries do these things, we do it, they do it, countries do it. And I thought, it's not necessarily a good answer, but it was a calm answer. It was kind of a resigned answer. And if Trump is feeling resigned, it's a 50-50 shot. He's resigned to war, or maybe he's resigned that he's got to walk away from this disaster that he created in attacking Iran over 45 days ago. Anyway, so, but back to the good and the bad. So the bad news is people are dying in Iran and other places. Even Americans are dying. People are dying. Iraqis are dying because of this war. The good thing is our bases in the Gulf states, in UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, these bases have been not just destroyed, but the purpose of having the bases there, which was to provide security for those host Arab countries, has been proven to be a false purpose. It has been proven to be a dead end. They host these bases for security, but they didn't get anything but danger. They didn't get security. They got the opposite of security. They got danger and destruction.
Right.
And they're also, because their economies have been harmed by this war that we started, the U.S. and Israel started this war, and it has harmed these Gulf state economies badly. In some cases, it will take years in some sectors to recover from. That's how bad their economies have been harmed. But because of that, when we ask them for money, it's like, wait a minute, I had money when you guys were, not closing this. We had money because we were selling oil, and we had people coming into our financial centers, and we were very productive and we had money. Now you're asking us for money to rebuild these bases, money for us to buy your weapons, your overpriced weapon systems. We don't have the money. So I don't think we're going back to those bases, and I don't think we're rebuilding those bases. I don't think anybody's rebuilding them. If anything happens, the country's needing them for their own national security, and U.S. is really, and this again is good news, bringing the troops home. They're bringing them home the long way. They are bringing them home, so that's a good thing. Now, what else? They had a couple other good and bad news. Oh, well, good news for Iran is that they are resilient and they are decentralized and they are unified as to the righteousness of their cause, because they were attacked. And when a country is attacked, they always become unified with the righteousness of their defense. And that just makes normal sense. That's the human nature. So that's where they are. The bad news is for the U.S., we have depleted 50% of many of our missile systems, including some of the more expensive high-tech ones. We have pretty much had every type of airplane that we have in the inventory shot down already, at least once. So that's not good. We've lost more airplanes than we did in, I think, a lot more than we did even in the Iraq war, the invasion of Iraq. And that was an actual war for a few days. So the bad news is we're weaker. Iran is stronger. Good for them. We're weaker. And that's not necessarily good for the United States, because we are in such terrible debt. And we are not just in financial debt, which is understandable. The government spends money, they print money, whatever. We've been doing that for a long time. But we are also in a moral deficit. Our leaders, our Congress people, our elected leaders, even our religious leaders, they really are in many cases confused. They don't know what the right answer is. And we're seeing problems in people trying to make sense of what it is the United States is doing, because the natural patriotic thing to do in all wars, and we have seen this in previous wars, is we want to support our country, and we want to unite behind our leader and support our country because it's righteous. But this war is so explicitly unrighteous and unwarranted and illegal and unnecessary, and nobody wants it, that we're not able to unite behind our country. In fact, we never even had a moment where we were united behind this. From the very beginning of this attack on Iran, the country was divided on it. And this is unpopular war, unpopular Congress that is allowing it to happen, unpopular president that is making it happen. And good news is we are now understanding the role that Israel plays in our foreign policy. And more people than ever before understand how Israel operates in this country, how it controls politicians, how it funds and picks and chooses who will be elected, and what they will say when it comes to wars for Israel or on behalf of Israel. And guess what? We've woken up. And the good news is on that, once you wake up, you can't, you have no excuse. You can't go back to sleep and act like it didn't happen. You already know. And Israel's popularity as an ally is sinking. It's already below 50% popularity, and it's getting worse and worse. So that's actually good news. Now, the bad news, it took probably, my estimate is 600,000 or 700,000 dead Palestinians to get to this point in this 2.5 year genocide that Israel has conducted. The world has watched for the past 2.5, almost 2 3/4 years. So that's bad news. And I say 700,000, the only, Israel has admitted 70-something thousand dead. That's only the dead bodies that they have dug out and verified and identified. So they know who they were and whatever. So when you look at pictures of what has been done to Gaza, really most of it in the first year, but continuing into the second year and even today, you can see that they decimated every living facility, every space. They turned it into a moonscape. And they did that on purpose. They wanted to slaughter the people. And when they talk, and the reason I say 700,000, Gaza started with 2.3 million people. They knew how many were there because they were calculating the allowable calories that could be imported into Gaza. So Israel, just like the Nazis, very good with their data tracking. They want to know the numbers and what they're doing and where they are and how they live and how much they're consuming. And they did that for Gaza, for everyone who lived there. And so they knew it was about 2.3 million people. And now what we consider, what we think about in numbers is 1.5. And even the Israelis use 1.5 when they talk about, oh, how many Gazans need to move out to Egypt or Somalia or wherever it is they want to send them to, because they still want them gone, right? That's why they got rid of all their houses and destroyed their water
Right.
systems and got rid of all their industry and their universities and their places of worship. They did that because they want them gone. But now they talk about 1.5 million. So it's about 700, maybe even 800,000 people dead. That's really bad news. Little more bad news on top of that is that's exactly what they're doing in southern Lebanon. They are destroying everything and basically turning it into a parking lot and then seizing the land, moving the borders upwards. And that's very bad. You know, in some ways I could say this is good news. It's not really. But they say there's something like 3,500 people maybe dead. That doesn't count the hundreds or dozens of thousands of wounded. But in Iran, 3,000. That Iran has 93 million people, so they've lost probably twice as many people as we lost on 9/11. But the country's 93 million, so there's your ratio. Lebanon has something like 7 million people. And they've lost 2,200 dead and you know, tens of thousands wounded. So the hit and the harm being done by Israel to Lebanon proportionally is insane. Okay, it is basically an attempted genocide. So this is really bad. But again, the good thing is Americans are waking up and the whole world is waking up. I mean, we're even finding, I think there's now 4 European Union member countries who have said Israel cannot be part of our economic trade circle. They must be exited from that because they don't follow our rules. They don't. So of course, the bigger countries don't care. They're fine with it. They're fine with this. But the people are changing their minds. So this is a good thing. Now, what else is good? Oh, China hasn't become involved in anything and they're sitting back and taking care of China. That's a good example for everybody. We should all take care of our own country.
Yeah.
Russia, interestingly enough, has done much the same, even though the attention has been off of Ukraine. And people who hate Russia, which there's always somebody, you got to hate somebody. So people who hate Russia would say, well, dang, you know, we're not watching them, what they're doing in Ukraine. I bet they really went in there and totally tore Ukraine up. You know, they're trying to eliminate that country. Of course, they have not done anything of the sort. They have continued a very cautious, methodical way of taking the territory that is Russian speaking. And yes, they're taking territory. And yes, that doesn't sound very good. But if I had a choice on how to be taken over, if I was a Southern Lebanese person, I would much prefer the Russians to take over my territory than I would the Israelis, because the Israelis will turn you into a parking lot. And that's not what the Russians are doing. And they also, to the complaints of many Russians who are sick of that war and they hate Ukrainians, or they just say, look, why can't you just finish it, you know? But Putin is not doing that. He's a great deal of heat, but he's very carefully sticking to his original goals from 4 years ago of the territory that where the Russians need to be protected, where the Russians have voted to stay with Russia. Basically, that is exactly where he's done. He has not taken advantage of the confusion in the Middle East and the tension to do something to basically just to be more of a bully than he needed to be. And that's very interesting. Can you imagine Trump not taking advantage when he thought he could take it? Oh my God, that's how we got Venezuela. That's how he's, you know, that's what the whole Greenland thing. If he sees an opportunity, he presses it and he bullies it and he does it. And of course, this is not a good thing that we're in the war with Iran, but maybe Americans finally, in the way that Trump has conducted this war, and the things that he said and how he changes his mind constantly, he lies, he's aggressive to everyone, he's thrown his best supporters under the bus, you know, he's very rude. I mean, I guess his Easter message. I don't know if you remember his Easter message, filled with his Easter message on Truth Social, filled with bad words, cuss
Mhm.
and very, very un-Eastery,
Yeah.
very aggressive and mean, and he's done stuff like that all the time. But anyway, Trump has revealed the true face of the government, a true face of the state,
Mhm.
and uh, people see it and they don't like it, and that's a good thing, because maybe we thought our government was actually helping somebody in Vietnam. Maybe we thought our government was actually helping somebody in the first 3 wars in Iraq. Maybe we thought our government was helping somebody in
Mhm.
Yugoslavia. No, our government sees something, and it's not just our government, but the state sees what it wants. It decides if it can get it through force, through coercion, through fear, through war.
Mhm.
And if it thinks it can do it, it does it. And we usually have to go along with it. We, the people, are pretty much, we pay for it, we go die for it. And when we have to suffer the results of it, we are the ones that suffer the results of it. But in this war, because
Mhm.
Trump has been so outlandish in the way he approaches these things, he's made it easy for a lot of people to understand this is how states operate, unless they are properly restrained. And ours is not. Trump is not properly restrained. Obviously, there's no sense in which Trump is restrained in any way, properly or improperly. Anyway, so we're becoming more aware. Now, the bad news, particularly because of Iran, but not entirely because of Iran, but mainly, I mean, is the economic cost to the whole wide world in reduction of energy and fertilizer and helium and some other things that we need.
Mhm.
The impact of that is not just now, like we see gas prices going up. Okay, fine, there's this and that, but the impact of the disruption of the global supply chain of many of these products, and the reactions that other countries have, which is to, if they see a shortage coming, other countries who have fertilizer, like for example Russia, are holding back their fertilizer. They're not exporting it. They're keeping it for their own needs because they see the shortage coming. China, in the same way, is holding on to rare earths and other a great number of resources and conserving them. So the whole impact, it's waves and waves of impact throughout the global economic system, is not going to be washed through for years, multiple years with an S.
Mhm.
Okay, not 1 year, not 2 year. It will be several years. And for some industries, it will be longer than that. So that's unfortunate. That's caused by our government. It's caused by Israel. Don't ever forget who caused it. It was us. And Americans are
Mhm.
going to pay the price of this. And it's something I think they're recognizing. And that is paying the price of it is unfortunate. But the fact that we're recognizing it and we're seeing whose fault it is, I think that is important. We as Americans need to understand, if our government does not hold the same values that we do. And Iranians just put out a Lego, the Iranian public, whatever they do, who put out all the Lego videos, the little, have you seen some of those Lego videos that they put out? They're like,
I haven't. No.
oh my gosh, you got to look them up. They're all
I'll
over.
look them up.
Yeah, they're funny. Well, they put them out all the time. They're very timely on whatever issue. But they put out one which was actually a long form, and most of them are very short. But they put out more of a long form, and it was talking about how the Iranians love Americans, and they talked about they understand the difference between Americans and the American government, which is really doing something very unpopular with Americans. They understand it. We understand it. Anyway, those kinds of messages are getting out there. So we're stuck with paying the price.
Huh.
But it is something that you have to do because our empire is ending. And we never asked for an empire. The Constitution did not design an empire. But we ended
Mhm.
one anyway, and it cannot last. No empires last. Ours is ending. And that's actually a good thing. Now, the good thing and the bad thing together, there's something, is that what will we ourselves have to do about it? Well, is it good or bad that we need to grow a garden in our backyard? Is that good or bad? Because we're going to need to. Okay. Is it good or bad that we improve our relationships with our community and our neighbors and our relatives? Is it good or bad that we determine that we need a more resilient and expansive network in order for us to survive economic hard times and political hard times, because both are coming. If they're not already here, some of them are here now, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. So is it good or bad that we increase our networks? Is it good or bad that we become more sophisticated in our understanding of what government is, particularly Washington government? Is far, far away from most people. I mean, obviously, it's a world unto itself in DC, and it's it consumes tons of resources. It makes tons of policies that affect everybody's daily life all the time. They spy on your phone. They mandate all these things that you have to do. It's not just tax. It's basically infringing on your freedom at every possible level. And it takes a lot of money to do that. And it gets its money from us, from our property and from our work and from our labor. So is it good that we know this? Because it's very sad to find this out, especially if you're a believer in government. You think, well, government has our best interests at heart. Well, no, if you have to find out that that's not true, yes, that is sad. That's heartbreaking. But finding it out is probably good, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you say, well, what do I really want? And what I really might want is probably more localism. I want that garden in my backyard, and I want to know all my neighbors, and I want to work with them, and I want to have opportunities to live my life without being, without having an authoritarian Uncle Sam looking over my shoulder all the time. Well, it's good that we can think that way. It's good for us to think about it. It's good for us to develop new ways of living, which are far more free and far more peaceful than what we're currently in. So that's my thing.
Wow. Well, that quite the presentation there, and lots of thoughts. I don't know. It's it's scary, the idea that that we might have to rely more on local things. But I mean, getting rid of the authoritarian stuff is certainly a blessing.
It is. It is. And you know what's so good about it is, I mean, there's a lot of blame on the different generations. Like the baby boomers, get a lot of blame for a lot of stuff, and some of that's rightful blame. And then we pick on the other generations to say this and that about the different ones. Well, they don't like to do this, and those guys are no good, or whatever. We say these things, but those generations are all our family. That's our family. That's our extended family.
That's true.
We have, and that's our neighbors, and these are our friends, and these are the people that we work with. If we're in education, these are the people we teach, or they teach us, however it is. So we together have we bring a lot of different things to the table, and working together and being together and recognizing the value of just people in America, in our neighborhoods. A lot can be done. A lot can be done. And as we start doing that, we can really shrug off a lot of the authoritarianism, because think about what it takes to get rid of authoritarianism. It takes people standing up in a large group saying we're not doing it anymore. So we got to build that group. And that group right now, and they always say this about the political parties, but it's a way of separating people from each other and making them fight over stupid stuff. We don't want to do that. So we have to hang together. I think like Lincoln said, you have to, a country has to, a house divided against itself cannot stand. But you either hang together or you hang separately, right? So let's hang together.
Right. Yeah. Indeed. I prefer to avoid hanging myself.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, like I use it like hanging out. Let's hang out together.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, we're so dependent on the infrastructure that it could be some very strange times. I know somebody like me. I mean, I'm a real techie. I do whatever I don't on websites and things like that. You know, if all that goes away, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I I live
I
in
don't think.
apartments. You know, I don't have any place I can grow anything for myself.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
course,
but
fortunately, I'm
you know how
kind
to
of old.
network.
I might not be around when it changes, but
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, we don't all have to be self-sufficient, but we have to be connected enough so that I
yes,
mean, not everybody has to know how to set a bone or take care of people medically. We don't need everybody doesn't have to be their own doctor. You can,
right.
but you have to know a doctor, or you have to know a person who knows a person.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
it's that networking thing, and a lot of what the government does, and I say the government, both parties particularly, is try to make us hate each other, not trust each other, be afraid of each other, not hang out with each other.
Yeah.
Um, and also
Exactly.
too, there's a lot of anti-family messaging going on too. I mean, even in the economy, people they say people are delaying marriage, and they're delaying uh, having kids. They say that, and it actually is true. I think
Hmm.
even like high school pregnancies are down, which is, you think that should be like a
Mm.
constant, but it's not. They're down too. And
Yeah. Right.
but
Uh,
this, and I think that's what they want. They want us to postpone living our lives and developing our families, our own families and communities, and
mm.
we really just have to ignore that, and just do what makes us happy and productive. And honestly, some people do want to stay by themselves. Nothing wrong with that. But for people that
Hmm.
want to engage, we shouldn't have false ideas about who we can and can't hang out with, who can and can't be our friends. But that's what political parties
Well,
do.
yeah.
They tell you can't be friends with the Democrat. Of course you can't.
Huh.
You can't be friends with the Republican. They're a bunch of racists. Well, okay, first off, that's not true. But
No.
second off, of course you
No.
can. And I hate to say this, but you can be friends with people that are very not perfect. You know, how many of us
You
of
bet.
our age? How many
And
of
of
us?
course, I mean, if you think about it, pretty much everybody is not perfect.
That's right. That's
So,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I like people, you know, and I don't always agree with them. I might avoid some subjects with some people,
Sure.
things
Yeah.
like that. But I like to talk to people. I like to get along and exchange ideas. Uh,
Yeah.
and there's there's really a lot more common ground than there is, uh, you know,
There really is.
differences.
Yep,
Uh,
there really is. And I'll tell you, these you'll have to check out some of these Lego videos, because in some ways
I will.
they're kind of, I mean, I'm sure what the Americans government says is, oh, those are war propaganda. But what they really are to
Mm,
me is they are people using AI, right? And everybody's scared of AI. Well, these
mm,
videos are created
mm,
overnight, this very short amount of time, using AI. And but the stories are a lot of times are like raps, like rap, right? I don't know if you're a rapper or you listen to
yeah,
rap.
right.
What rap is, right? It's basically poetry. It's talking poetry. Um,
Huh.
so that's how a lot of them are like that, and they contain little bits of truth, so they're educational. Well, they actually contain a lot of truth depending on your perspective, but they're entertaining, they're educational, and many of them are helping people understand. And a lot of different people are watching them, and they're saying, oh, that's pretty cool. And even people will wonder, well, I wonder, how'd this guy do that? Who made this? And then you're asking questions,
Right.
you're saying not everybody has the same skill set, but we all bring something different to the table. And I think there's a lot to be
Mm,
there's just a lot out there. So I'm not, obviously you're a techie, you love tech, I love tech too. I'm not totally uh off the deep end about Palantir in their AI, putting a chip in my head. I don't think we're there yet. And I think there's
uh,
a lot we'll be able to
yeah, I
do.
don't think we're there yet.
Push that. No, no, we're not there yet. And I'm not saying they don't want to do that. I'm not, the guys running Palantir do want to
Mm,
do that pretty much. But there's way more of
mm,
us. There's always way more of us than there is the authoritarians
that's
and the
right.
dystopians. So yeah, we should enjoy
Okay.
life, get to know people, increase our network, um, live our lives, and it's not gonna be easy. The economy sucks. Our government's going broke. The empire's ending. Okay, that's gonna have an impact on Americans. Okay, it's gonna hurt. It's not gonna.
I'm sure it will.
but we have each other. We have the American dream.
All right, Karen, this was a great segment. Thank you so much for being part of this show, and I appreciate your flexibility to switch your time frame.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And thanks for being with me tonight.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. Good talking to you.
All right. Great talking to you.
Okay, bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Our next guest of the evening is Frank Cordero from the Des Moines Catholic Worker. I spoke with Frank a little bit earlier, and I'm going to play that for you right about now. Well, almost right about now. Let's see. Here we are. Here it is. I knew I could find it. Here we go. Frank Cordero from the Des Moines Catholic Worker.
Yo, Chuck.
Hi, Frank.
You ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it. We have to keep it to about 10 or 12 minutes tonight.
Okay, no problem. So, Thursday night here at the Catholic Worker, I'm in the Dingman House. That's where we serve the meals.
Mm-hmm.
I made the 3 o'clock meal, and it went over all right.
Okay.
Leftovers to work with tomorrow, which I'm prepared for the next 3 o'clock. I do the 3 o'clock. And tonight, Ray Blaze and the Friends of the Catholic Worker are cooking out. Although it's about to storm here.
Uh-oh. That could change the plans a little bit.
Major storm warnings between 5 and 7.
Uh.
Like, oh, well, so they're quickly cooking inside.
Uh-huh.
I'm on the second floor. They're on that first floor, and I'm in the room, which is my bedroom. You know, I'm at a property. I sleep over here. My office is at Manning House. And I have my mail at Dingman House because it's or Berrigan House because it's a more secure mailbox.
Okay.
All that being said, I'm looking out the window, and my life is just amazingly full. We just got a Via Pacis out in the mail. That's always
that's good. Yeah.
Fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish Jess would be more predisposed to be more engaged. Yet at the same time, she's in the right place.
Yeah.
Good things are happening between her and Julie. Julie's having a hard time. And Jess is creating her own independent space. I don't blame her.
Okay.
I can be a pretty suffocating guy, especially if I have the leading role in a community that's dealing with founder's disease.
Old founder's disease.
Old man, that's nice.
Oh, great.
I'm more reflective when I do get myself mindfully and heartfully back in the decades in which we started this scene and what was going on. Especially, all I have to do is go to the Via Pacis archives and pick a year and then look at the VPs, and it's
you see what was going on, right?
And everything going on, what we're doing. I mean,
that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have a whole history. Yeah.
50 years. That's
so that's something. That really is a. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all a matter of. They say publish or perish.
Uh-huh.
On the other hand, Jesus didn't publish. That's all I got to say.
Well, there you go, right? All those things were written by the other guys.
You know, he could write what they said about me by Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, tonight is the first performance of the New American Dream Radio Theater. We are there's a radio play that's going to go on at
That's great.
right around 9 p.m. Eastern time. If you are able to tune in to the YouTube channel at that point, then it would be cool to watch it.
Are you on Google Meet?
Okay, 9 p.m. tonight. Eastern time is what? Iowa time, 8 p.m.
I think so. Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that. I think I should be able to do that. I'm not hosting. My brother Joe, he couldn't make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well,
But this is it's pretty cool. It's something that Michael Annis put together, and he has
Yes, you are.
two actresses and one actor.
Yeah, it's on the pick string.
And they actually pre-recorded the thing, and I've looked at part of it. I thought I wanted to, it to be new to me, just like it is for everybody else. So I didn't watch the whole thing yet, but the part I watched was amazing. And I think.
Look it. This sounds too good to miss, and I'm likely to miss this stuff, especially if it's live. But if it's going
Well,
it's going to be taped.
Yes, exactly. If you do miss it, you can watch it later. But yeah, I figured I would tell you about it now because it'd be
I
great.
just want to. I do listen to these. I go back and I do listen to the portions in which we're talking. So I got to.
Okay.
So I would like to look at that. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, good luck.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, Frank, thank you so much. And
You're the best.
hey,
God bless. Good luck with the theater tonight.
thank you. And hey, next week is a poetry show, so it'll be 2 weeks till I talk to you.
Got it.
All right. All right.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Frank Cordero from the Des Moines Catholic Worker. And right now I have Michael Annis here in the studio to tell us about the New American Dream Radio Theater that I was just mentioning to Frank. So I'm going to turn the show over to him and crew, and tell us what we're going to be hearing on the second half of the show. All yours.
Chuck, are we connected?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we connected. Can you hear me, Chuck? It's Michael.
Yes, I hear you, Michael. Come on, talk.
Oh my God. Okay, now that we have the preliminaries. All right, it's good to be back on the New American Dream, especially tonight for the official world premiere of the New American Dream Theater that we've been discussing for 2 years. We had a couple dramatic New American Dreams in the past, this last summer, etc., in fall, but they were just warm-ups. So tonight, my Weeping Angels, my cast stars, and I bring you the culmination of a year and a half of devoted work on the first act of my formal dramatic play, Echo Echo. So, Aaliyah, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Marcus?
I
Marcus,
think I
are you
am.
there? Marcus, are you there?
If I think I am,
Aaliyah, okay. Marcus is out in the back of his car in Fort Collins I'm not sure. Where are you? A rehab center in Fort Collins, Marcus, in the
Okay.
back of your car? Okay.
You can call it a rehab center for old poets.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's good that you finally. It's good that you finally acknowledged where you are in life. Okay, so first, however, I'm reading my notes, as you can tell, and I'm very animated with my coffee. I believe a brief origin story is called for. So Echo Echo began as an offshoot of another major project begun between myself and the amazing modern visual artist Henry Avedon. He did the art piece for Echo Echo. I've collaborated with him, with Henry, many times in the past, including on the publication of his own book of poetry titled Select Abstraction. It's a toughie. Okay, so the collaboration launched in 2022 to 23, the Miserary series. It's a huge project, 100-piece grouping of visual art and poetitations, which is an uncommon term because I actually coined the term myself to describe this particular form of poetics. Included in the opening directors and stage notes are several stanzas from Miserary 16, Echo Echo, that introduce the dramatic play. Miserary 16 alone is comprised of approximately 98 stanzas with a few subordinate stanzas scattered throughout the work. So as I continued writing Miseraries 1 through 17, the figure of the great French poet Antonin Artaud kept appearing in snippets of dramatic dialogue within the poetitations, references to him, things that he wrote, etc. Finally, after completing Miserary 16, the play we present tonight hatched out, like an owl's egg, into its own artistic creation. So, reading from my notes, 2 of my 3 stars in the play, who I could not have done without. Amazing, amazing actors of themselves. Very gifted people. Marcus, I've known forever. Aaliyah, I had the great fortune of meeting about 2 years ago. And I knew at the point that I saw Aaliyah perform in a different stage production that she was the person I needed for my play. So Aaliyah Jasper and Marcus If will accompany me in this opening segment of the performance of Echo Echo, immediately following the station identification break at the top of the hour. So now I think it behooves us maybe to turn directly to the notes, and Aaliyah will begin.
Absolutely. Here we go. Miserary, Echo Echo, a non-existent play by Antonin Artaud.
The curtain rises to a cacophony of voices, the chaotic clamoring din of the sobs, cries, curses, and pleas for forgiveness of the weeping angels of hell. Progressively rising in volume and intensity until the narrative poetry begins, then the voices fade, finally diminished to nearly inaudible as the erratic melody of a single solo guitar begins its shrill screeches and scorching angst, for which it becomes a background. Upon center stage sits a lone woman under a single intense spotlight. Around her is pitch darkness. Dim lighting around the set out into the outskirts of the audience begin to reveal the weeping angels, inanimate placards suffering, past, present, future. A sudden series of lightning-like flashes illuminate the audience, while loud cries of pain echo throughout the auditorium. The inert body of a human being strapped to a gurney is rolled by attendants toward the stage, but stops short of it. The attendants ensure that the straps are fully locked, then stick a rubber compressor between the teeth of the body. Intermittently, shock treatments are seen in flashes of light and heard in sounds of crackling electricity. Hanging over his head and his life, like the sword of Damocles, are the omnipotent imminence of electroshock bolts. From off stage, the voices of the narrators, man and woman, commence, backed by music.
Fallen from the heavens in the bloodshed known as ecstasy, bouncing off walls of time and space, reverberating in pseudo immortality to echo into the future, echoing eternally backward the past paradox of creation. The echo is the distortion, becoming its own sound. The scream is
Echoing distortion. A distortion of a scream remains a scream, the cognitive dissonance of echo. Entomifying essence of childhood, in swollen and blackened lips screams the dance with death, where song-filled throat is slit and heart of innocence bludgeoned by serrated hammer. Each life echoes greater than the sum of its parts. Intorsions of the heart, first fruits of innocence hanging, lynched from drying limbs.
Cremation recycles human hellfire, echoing the vacuum. An image in a mirror, visual echoes of a soul screaming from present into the past. Its differential equation echoes of suicide, drawing lines of turbulence from life to death. This hell of binary equations echoes from the other side in a waterfall of voices cascading longingly.
In mathematical reduction, abandoned in a crypt of the sum of one's life. Each life its own differential equation. Essers pass at long intervals, reverberating in the tenebrific space of time. Pulsating cries to bring the orphaned inmates home. Reborn, given another chance, only connecting theoretically to each life.
before and all thereafter. Bursting in terrifying storms, human joy dies in a forest of angels, yet no God hears it. It screams its final scream, echoing only within the hell of itself, echoing its doppelganger, anguish, a dog howling, echoing the swallowing of its own tongue. Does it echo through the four-body problem of time as dimension, time as infinite mathematical equation, time as absolute suffering, time and nothingness?
Lost in an echo of demons, Inez finds a semblance of herself standing in a corner in a small room in hell, naked and exuding a cold, clammy sweat. She gazes across to its opposite corner and into the eyes of her doppelganger, Estelle, who is weeping pitifully as she plays mournfully upon her cello. Waves of notes like a horde of flies. A murder of crows swirl cloud-like around the room, seeking a way out.
Far above Inez at the rim of a well, Antonin Artaud, dressed in the skins and horns of the sorcerer of Troisfera, lying hence, looking down a shaft of light upon where she is abandoned, the hell where humans compose their inspiration to rebel, to propagate ignorance, to slander through obeisance, to slay their others' destinies, smitten by the dog of love to the vaticination of their fate. Upon the light shaft walls are animated hologrammatic images of ancient mammoths, rhinoceri, galloping horses, aurochs, birdmen, flying owls, birds of paradise, and a bloody human hand.
Thank you so much for presenting this introduction. And it's now time for the station break. And then we will be presenting the play live. Well, recorded. But it's going to be great. Thank you all for being here with me. Thank you, listeners. See you on the other side of the station break.
Thanks, Chuck.
Right on, Michael.
We're good. We're good. Thank you. Hey, have a good reading tonight, Marcus.
Thanks. Yeah, I got to get off and do that. Glad we were able to make this happen. So, rock and roll. Let's chat soon. I'm gonna read the rewrite this weekend.
Yeah, great. Okay. I hope everybody finds it to be superior to what it was before.
Revisions are almost always superior. As long as you stay with the original music, you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. Hey, thanks, Chuck. Good being on the show with you again. We will see you next time.
Yeah, man.
All right. Ciao,
Okay.
folks.
All right. Aaliyah,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, of course. Thank you both.
Okay. We just got kicked off. That's fine.
How do I do this?
I can't get that cracker thing open.
Okay, I'm sorry. The mic's still live.
Okay.
You like this? Welcome back, everyone, to the New American Dream Radio Show. And right now, we're going to have the inaugural performance of the New American Dream Radio Theater. We're going to be starting that right about now. And it's a great show. Thanks to Michael Annis et al. For doing the intro at the end of the last segment. Here we go. Echo, echo.